Es gibt sie wieder, die Sendung mit der großen Obsession für Pop. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer brandneuen Popsession bei Alex Radio auf der 91.0 im TV und online. Mein Name ist Michaela Gladowitsch und meine ersten Gäste bei der ersten Popsession in unserem neuen Studio sind Robert, Hilding, Marian und Mario. Zusammen sind sie die fantastische Dream-Pop-Band Strand, Child aus dem Hause Späti Palace. Bei dem Berliner Label haben sie mit Mysterio kürzlich einen kleinen Vorgeschmack ihres Debüts herausgebracht, an dem sie gerade im Studio arbeiten. Schon 2016 hat die Band mit ihrer EP Soul Jelly in der Berliner Musikszene von sich hören gemacht. Bevor wir aber mit der Band über ihre Entstehungsgeschichte und die ihrer Songs sprechen, hören wir uns ihren Song Eis an. Guys von Strand, Child, meinen Gästen bei unserer heutigen Popsession. Da 50% der Band, nämlich Mario und Hilding, Englisch sprechen. Mario kommt aus der Dominikanischen Republik und Hilding from Sweden, right?
Yeah, Sweden.
Yeah, I will switch to English now. Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you very much for being here.
Hello.
Right back at
And
you.
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Could you actually quickly introduce yourselves and what you do in the band?
My name is Mario, and I sing and I play guitar in the band.
I'm Robert, I'm playing drums.
I'm Hilding, I play lead guitar.
And I'm Marian and I play the bass.
Yeah, thank you again.
That's what he plays.
So, in your press text, I read when Mario, and now I hope I pronounced this right, Quesada
Yeah.
had
It's okay.
had moved from the Dominican Republic to New York, Stockholm, and finally Berlin in 2014. He formed Strand Child to expand his songs into something more. So can you first tell us a little bit about that biography? Like, when did you move to all those places and why?
I've lived most of my life in DR, and then I moved to New York to go to school, and then I stayed there for some years, and then I moved to Europe because of a beautiful girl named Millie, who's currently in New York, and then we moved to Sweden together, and then we were in Sweden for a while, and then we moved here to Berlin, and so that's why.
What kind of school was that? Had it something to do with art and music?
Yeah,
or?
I'm an audio engineer, so I went to school for audio engineering, and then kind of continued doing that for a while, and yeah. So that's what it was.
Yeah, so what kind of music did you do before? Because it said he formed Strand Child to expand his songs. Like,
Yeah.
what was...
Well, there was, I've been in bands since I was like 13, and when I was like 13, I used to play in a lot of like punk and hardcore bands, or not really, more like like screamo bands. I guess
Really
that's
good
what it
stuff,
was. Yeah, and then like a bunch of other bands and stuff in New York as well, but I was always kind of like sort of sharing certain duties in those bands because I was singing mostly, and I wasn't really playing guitar or like writing down the music. And then after a while, I kind of got like a little tired of that, and I wanted to kind of do my own thing. So I started writing a bunch of songs in New York that then kind of evolved a little bit in Sweden. And then when I came here, I had like a whole bunch of songs that I kind of wanted to realize with a band. And the demos were like, they were pretty like done at that point. But then, I met our first drummer and Marian and stuff, and then we started playing, and that was the whole point of it. I just wanted to hear them with people as opposed to just like me sitting in a small room.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think was missing? Was there something that you knew before was missing, or did it just came with all the other people?
I think, not to get like overly technical or whatever, but when you're working, doing demos in a computer, a lot of these workstations that you use to make music now, they're grid based, so stuff tends to get like really squarey and stuff, and I'm a big fan of groove, so I really wanted like to hear how somebody else might interpret an idea that I had and like add their own flavor to it. And yeah,
like there were a lot of changes in the band, so I think you were one of the first members as well. Then you came in, and later you. So how was it for you all to join into his ideas and also bring in your own?
Yeah, it was actually a very funny thing how I joined the band, because one of my friends from Bremen, I'm actually from Bremen, and one of my friends who lives around the house, he met Mario at a Burger King store, and they had the same basketball cap.
Yeah.
And so they got into talking, and because of him, I met Mario once, and he just said to me, "Hey, we need a bassist, and do you want to come over and let's just play." And that's how I got into the band. I was actually, at that time, not really looking for a new band. I had a couple of other bands before. It was really great to take that opportunity then.
And how was it for you two guys?
I got in maybe like 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah, like bordering on 2 years, I'd say.
I met Mario maybe a little bit more than 2 years ago. We were at a party from a mutual friend who's a rapper now, so she might come around here too.
Yo, shout out to Lamb Kebab.
I think maybe you need to speak more into that
shout out to
mic.
Lamb Kebab. And she basically told us to hang out.
Yeah.
And
She set up a play date. basically.
Yeah. And he started recording my own music. And as soon as the other guitarist left, I think he called me the same day.
And how was it for you to be like kind of the I don't know, the new member? I mean, you've been in the band for a year now as well. But yeah, I mean, is it difficult to join into a band that already has like fixed visions, or I don't know?
It's not really weird because I knew the songs already pretty well because I was the booker of the band. And so I knew what I was going in for. And but I have a totally different style than Chris, the old drummer, had, so it changed again. And I think it's
good.
Yeah, but we were going for together now.
Yeah, that was would be my next question. Like, how did that all Strand child thing develop until what it is now?
And for me, one of my experiences that really affected me is like when I moved to New York, I was lucky enough to be surrounded by a lot of people that were into a lot of stuff that I had not been introduced to. And that kind of inspired me to write in a different way and sort of lose the fear of like, because I always had this idea that if I had to write songs, I had to be like overly complicated or whatever. But now I kind of just let go of that thing and started writing whatever came out.
Okay, you touched upon two things that I want to talk about later as well. But first, we're gonna listen to another of your songs, namely Machines. Das war Machines von Strand Child von ihrer ersten EP Soul Jelly aus dem Jahr 2016. So I would like, as I said before, talk a little bit also about your songwriting, and one aspect that I also found in your press text, I'm going to quote from that, about your songs, or songs about his, Mario's, longing for beaches of his home, the mundane aspects of life and human interactions, and whatever he was obsessing about in those cold, dark Swedish nights. So I think the longing for white beaches and all the warm stuff, it's definitely there all the time in your music and the sound, because it's dreamy and warm, and also there is this little exotic hint in it.
Hey, we
softness.
Try to keep it exotic.
Like subtle. It's very subtle, but maybe I just feel it. So what would you say are those mundane aspects that are mentioned here?
When I moved to Sweden after being in New York for a long time, I've been to Europe a couple of times before that, but I've never been to Scandinavia at that point. And, it's like dark, most of the day it's super dark. So that was a little weird, and a lot of the songs that I was writing were about a couple of different issues and stuff. And one of the main thing in the first two releases is a lot of mental health stuff, which some people are cool with talking about that, some people are not. But there's a lot of elements of that, and the mundane thing is just my growing up in DR. DR is very much a driving culture. So we drive around a ton, but we really nowhere to go, because you just drive around and go eat and then do it again and then do it again. So I kind of missed also the pace of it, the pace of being back home, and also there's a sense of laziness that people here adhere to times and things like that, which is cool. It's great. You get a lot done, but back home there's a certain ease with that, and I kind of it's always something that I miss. And it's just hard being raised sometimes from people that you care about. And
how is it for you? Because you come from Sweden. Do you see it in a similar way, or do you have a different view on that?
Sweden is it's a bit something I left behind. It's hard to explain. I mean, I never got to experience living in a hot country, but there is I don't know, Sweden is it's hard to break out of a certain way of life there. If you grow up to be something, you have to really make an effort if you want to be something else.
What I find very interesting, maybe I draw this parallel wrong, but the song Machines that we just heard starts with the lines, "All suffering machines, won't you come away with me? We can find a way to be a brand new kind of wild." So in the song, first of all, who is the lyrical I and who is the you? The machines. It's a weird story that I guess I'm going to tell. I guess my mom's going to be angry if she listens to this, but what else? It happens. This is the last time I ever smoked weed. I got really high. And then I had the progression, and I was just writing something, and a lot of it kind of felt okay. Certain lyrics for me just kind of flow. Yeah. And at the time I'm not really thinking about what they mean. And then later on I guess I realized it's a thing where, I just gotta be honest, I just hate working, and I hate you know what I mean? I hate the idea of a 9 to 5 and that kind of thing. And I think the song is a little bit about how unnatural that is, that we just do that, and everybody's yeah, it's fine, that's the thing that we do. And then I think and it's obviously from my perspective, but being a musician is also a job, and it's pretty hard because you also probably need another job. Yeah, well, that is
being
so
fired
real.
Right now.
Yeah, there's a big chance that's actually what happened. No, beyond that, it's I totally agree. But there's I think there's a difference between a job and a career and something that you really love, and even if it hurts, you know what I mean? You still want to keep. It's like an obsession. I can't stop doing it. So.
Yeah. So the parallel I draw was because actually I read this obviously as a kind of capitalist critique, and then you had this music video of Mysterious, which we're going to play later, which is also, at least the video also mirrors that, they go to the forest, they dig their phones somewhere in the sand, and then they go to the lake. It's kind of... We are machines detached from our body. We should go to nature and all this stuff. And then also kind of reflects your two worlds of being raised, in the Dominican Republic and then going to Europe. So that's, I don't know, is that something that you think about, or that's unconscious?
There. It's definitely there. Sometimes it's a little subconscious. I think also when people listen to the music, that video was done by a good friend of ours, Hayun. And he shout out to Hyun.
Hello.
So when he approached us about the video, like we had an idea about doing it that way because something feels naturey about the music. And he brought a bunch of all those elements as well of like people kind of detaching from things and finding their own sort of piece. And then it totally made sense to me because it kind of ties in with a little bit of what I said about like mental health. And it's like sometimes I feel like a lot of these things that we're doing, like these constant sort of, you know, being anxious about these things that at the end of the day don't really matter. You know what I mean? And I think the music, we try to express that a lot of sort of just like let things go and just kind of be who you are and do what you do.
You are currently also working on your debut album. How's that going?
Hey, it's going.
It's going. What can we expect?
It's going. Well, I'll tell you one thing. The songs are a little bit faster and a little bit harder. And just, I think adding Robert to the band changed a little bit of
groove?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. My throat is really just like done today. It hurts a lot when I talk. But a lot of songs are very different. Hilding wrote a bunch of songs for the album as well. So I think they have a different flavor, but they're still like Strand songs and they're like faster.
I mean, it's the first result we have. I mean, since I joined the band, we haven't really collaborated.
Yeah.
And now we have a sound that sort of is from everybody.
Yeah, and it's coming out
because
we have a couple of songs like that we've done sort of together just in the room, and then there's other songs where we've kind of just like worked out at our little studio and then figured out, and then we kind of bring it in and people work on it. But I don't know, like, what do you feel the songs are? Do you feel like they're different?
Our style changed a bit. I would call it like that. I mean, I've been with the band for the first 2 EPs and now also working on the new album. And especially for me, it's important how how I play with the drums. And there we definitely changed our style a bit. And like in the band, I bring in my own elements. I also did some other types of music. I also did some jazz stuff sometimes.
Yeah, he keeps us groovy.
And Mario also brings in some ideas and pushes me to find new ways of how we place things. And so I think we all changed a bit, and our music sound changed a little bit. Yeah.
Is there already a release date?
No, not really. No, we're currently working on it. There's like just to give you like an exact amount, we have 16 songs, of which like 8 are ready, and then we have another 8 that we need to like really work on and figure them out, and then like kind of jam them over and work out little kinks and stuff so that they feel naturally when we go into the studio. But it will definitely be out before the end of the year. It will be out this year for sure. Are
you guys under pressure because you have a guy from your label playing in your band?
No, that's actually like, I feel like that like, shout out to Barry, by the way. I feel like that gives us like we're pretty chill with that.
I'm always saying, let's take us more time to figure out how it's right for us, and then we can release it.
He's never stressed about that. He's never like, hey man, we got to put this out next week.
Okay. How would you describe Berlin as a music city from your perspective of a musician as well as from a perspective of somebody who works at a label? Like, how did it change within the past couple of years?
It changes all the time, and it's not like there's one scene. There are so many of them, and you can't keep track of any, I feel, and because it's always changing. And so it's really hard to get some recognition for your band or your label or whatever you do, because there's no overall thing that helps you with that.
I was at a Neujahrsempfang, like a thing of the Club Commission in Berlin recently, and Katja Lucker was there, the managing director of the Music Board, the institution that supports young talents and kind of puts a little bit funding into pop culture. And she said, after now Bassi Club has to close and Privat Club has to close, she was like, okay, guys, we need spaces in this city, because if we don't have spaces where people can experiment and where people can play, I don't even need the music board to fund or to support those people anymore. So do you feel that it's really that Berlin is kind of selling itself to death at the moment, or do you feel that something like that has always been a problem that the music scene has somehow dealt with?
I think it's always been a problem, and that's part of the change that's always happening. But it seems like right now, because of the real estate market, it's getting worse and worse. And just this month, they opened a new venue in Neukölln called Akaoda. So there are new places opening, and it's not the end of the world yet, but maybe next year. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that the main problem with that is that you know, and I've seen it happen in other cities where you have all these, like, one of the main things why I came here is the idea that, like, it was so cheap, completely affordable, you can get a really nice place for, like, nothing, and you always have, like, time to kind of do your own thing, because you don't have to work that much, and you can, like, focus on the thing that you want to focus on. But the problem is that as it's, you know, things are progressing here, and more, it's really turning into, like, the real capital of, like, Germany. Because I think that, you know, with the weird history of the city, that, you know, it just didn't develop that way. And now it's, like, really catching up to that. And I see it, like, because I saw this in New York a lot happen where, you know, all of a sudden, like, somebody will move next to a club or move next to, like, a venue or whatever. And the venue's been there for, like, 7-8 years, but this person just arrived and, like, in a week, they're like calling the cops, being like, "Oh man, people are being too loud," or like this and that, and then it's like, you know, it's a snowball effect, and then it's kind of hard to see, but I think that Berlin also, I find that people are very adamant to, like, maintain it the way that it is. So I think that if any city is going to survive the onslaught of, like, gentrification, it's going to be Berlin.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very optimistic way of looking at things. That's a perfect Schlusswort, so to say. Thank you very much for being here,
so much
for playing.
Letting us be here.
Yeah, and I'm going to switch back to German to say bye to the audience. So, liebes Alex-Publikum, das war's schon. Unsere erste Popsession neigt sich dem Ende zu. Die Sendung gibt es nicht nur auf der 91.0 und im TV, sondern natürlich auch online in unseren Mediatheken. Bei Alex Radio gibt es anschließend noch ein von der Band handverlesenes Mixtape mit Songs von unter anderem Twin Peaks, Ryan Adams, Always and Replacements. Wir hören jetzt noch einen noch nicht veröffentlichten Track von der Band, nämlich Frank and I. Viel Spaß, bis zum nächsten Mal und vielen Dank an Strand.